This is my modification guide for the Nerf Rival Apollo. I'm going to be modifying the Apollo today, and before you start anything, you should probably remove your magazine. Once you remove that, all you have to do is unscrew all of the screws in the main shell and lift the two halves of the shell apart. After you've finished unscrewing all the screws, you don't necessarily have to take them out. You can leave them in their screw ports. But after you do that, you can lift the blue piece off like that. So this is what the internals of your Apollo should look like. I would recommend leaving the handle alone because you don't need to mess with the magazine release. I'll just go over some of the parts so you can see where everything goes if you need help reassembling. I'm going to start by taking out the catch mechanism. That's this white piece with the pin. The white piece might come off, but it's not that big of a deal. You just put the pin back into that small hole right there, and you can get it back on like that. I'm also going to be taking out the front orange tip. That just goes in like that, but I won't be needing it. Then you can wiggle this entire unit out like this. Your gears up here should be connected like so, but we're going to need to disconnect this so we can modify this piece. Now that we have our plunger and gear system, we're going to be taking out some of the locks. There are a lot of locks in this gun and they restrict certain functions, which is very annoying, so I'm going to be removing a few of those locks. First, you want to unscrew the 4 black screws in this plate. Once you've done that, very carefully free this clasp right here by lifting that off, and you should be able to gently lift off your top mechanism. When you take that off, you will be left with the gears and some of the parts. This white piece right here is your catch. It's essential and you're going to need to keep it. This is your plunger tube, the very hefty spring, and the plunger head. I'm going to be taking out this white piece right here. You don't need this white piece or the spring, and just to streamline the system, I'm also going to be taking out the other non-essential pieces. You won't be needing these white pieces or their springs, so you can throw those away. The only pieces I will be keeping are the gears, of course, and the catch, and these 2 dowels. For the next step, we're going to be increasing the plunger head seal on the plunger tube, because as you can see, the seal is not very good, and we could get more air pushed out if we make the plunger head thicker. These gears are essential to the function of the Apollo, so make sure you know how they go and don't screw it up. To enhance the plunger head seal, I'm going to take off the O-ring and put some electrical tape underneath. I've cut a thin piece of electrical tape like this, and I'm going to be wrapping it underneath where the O-ring will go. Once the tape is on, you can take your O-ring and put it back on. Before inserting your plunger head again, make sure to lubricate the O-ring with some lubrication. You could use silicone grease, white lithium grease, or maybe even Vaseline is better than nothing. But you want to get that so that your plunger head still moves very smoothly and it's not restricted. Now just test the seal on your plunger tube. And the seal is much better. As you can see, I'm blocking the other side with my hand, and it's pushing air much more efficiently. I'm not going to be replacing or adding the spring because this is already quite hefty and the prime on the Apollo is a little difficult. So I think this spring is plenty tough. It's definitely as tough as a K26 spring, which is the strongest spring I own, so I'm not going to bother to replace it. This is how everything should look prior to reassembly. Make sure that your catch is positioned properly and that its spring is in the rest. Also make sure that the lip in the plunger tube is aligned with the crevice in the shell. This is how your gear should go. This flat funny one goes in the middle, and make sure that your dowels are in place. Once everything's done, you can take your other half and snap it back on. Now reinsert the 4 screws just as you took them out, and you should be done. We're done with the plunger assembly, so we're going to set that aside and work on the handle. I didn't mean I was actually going to be modifying the handle, that'll be kind of difficult, but I am going to be taking out a lock in here and maybe increasing the seal on the barrel. So we could take a better look at this. You can wiggle the handle out of the Apollo like that and just set the blue piece aside. Now I'm going to show you how to remove the D-prime lock. This lock, which is located behind that black panel, prevents you from pulling the trigger when your little claw handle is not forward. That restricts you from de-priming the blaster, and I'm kind of paranoid about shooting this gun because I feel like it's going to break itself, so I would like to de-prime it. This lock is difficult to access, but the best way that I've found to do it is to cut out the little bar right there with a very sharp utensil such as a knife. Be extremely careful when you're using tools like this, especially cutting plastic, because you could slip and hurt yourself really badly. You can kind of see that I already cut out half of it and it's starting to come out, but I just need to cut out the other post. Now that our post is off, the spring will come out, but the white piece is still stuck in there, so we're going to have to shave a little of the plastic off so it can come out. You can also do this with a Dremel or a rotary tool if you have one, but I'm just using a X-Acto blade at the moment. Once you've cleaned up a little bit of the plastic holding it in, you can go in on the other side and you can kind of see the piece and just maybe pop it out with a screwdriver. So now no matter what position your bolt is in, you can fire the gun, which is nice. This is my bottom blue piece right here, and my rail fell out, but that's pretty simple to put back in. I'm going to take the handle portion and put it back into the shell, lining it up with the little post on the inside. Just to make sure that everything works, you want to cycle it, and your orange barrel should go out and then be pushed back in when you push it forward. Once you've done that, you can take your plunger and put it back in. Make sure to line up your bolt with the gears. You can kind of slip the black piece under like that, and then kind of stick the thing back in. And once everything is firmly in, you have done everything correctly. Now I'm just going to put back my orange muzzle and the catch pin. This pin is going to go into the hole in the trigger like that. It should go into that post like that. I'm not sure if you could see that, but there is a little hole for it to go. And this is what everything should look like once you're reassembled, if you need help with your reassembly. But now that everything's in, we can replace the other half of the blue panel. So once you do that, you can go ahead and reinsert all of the screws. So that's it for my modification guide on the Nerf Rival Apollo. I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks for watching.